Again, welcome everyone to the Mastermind Book Club. This is your book club as well as mine. It is ours to grow together through our millionaire mind. We have a mind that's worth, or we should say that is priceless. But in terms of the street market, it's worth a lot of money. We are capable of growing immensely. Is it out there for all of us? You bet. Is it different for all of us? You bet. But never underestimate that whatever growth you have is capable of changing somebody else's lives, let alone your life as well, obviously. But in today's session, we're going to be covering and going over a book that was recommended to me by none other than Tony Robbins. And I'm certain most of you have heard of Tony Robbins. This book is highly, highly recommended by him. And all I can tell you is that I read it once and I have listened to the audiobook at least 5 times. It is well worth listening to over and over and over again. Every time I've listened to it, I've gotten much more out of it, much more information out of it. Some of that information I'd like to share with you in the next few minutes of this class, because I believe if it can't change your life, it'll probably change someone's life that you know of. And that's the importance of this overview of this class. So, Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. So I'd like to give you an overview of this class. Let me just go to, whoops, I don't know why. So here are the facts. So from 1942 to 1945, can you see that screen share there or no? I'm sharing the screen.
Yeah, I see it.
Okay.
Yeah, I see it.
Welcome. That's Dennis. Is he on?
Yes, I am.
Oh, awesome. Dennis is my man. All right. So facts of about Viktor Frankl. From 1942 to 1945, Viktor Frankl survived not one, not two, but 4 Nazi concentration camps by finding meaning in each moment. Can you believe that? 4 Nazi concentration camps. And he found meaning in each moment. By discovering a steady source of meaning, Frankl transcended suffering and sustained his will to live. After World War II, Frankl returned to his psychiatric practice and helped individuals fill their inner emptiness with meaning to eliminate despair and activate a sustainable source of productive energy. During Frankl's time in concentration camps and time as a psychiatrist, he discovered 3 rich sources of meaning. Nathan Lazaron explains these 3 sources of meaning as wells of meaning. You can turn to when you lose hope and require motivation to get through a difficult period in your life. I know I've had difficult moments. And if you haven't, I know you know someone who has had difficult moments. Well, these are some of the questions or some of the things that you should ask yourself. One is, are you pursuing a life task? Everyone has his own specific vocation or mission in life. Everyone must carry out a concrete assignment that demands fulfillment. Therein, he cannot be replaced, nor can his life be repeated. Thus, everyone's task is unique as his specific opportunity to implement it. And that's a quote by Viktor Frankl. In the Nazi concentration camps, one could have witnessed that those who knew that there was a task waiting for them to fulfill were most apt to survive. Who's pursuing a life task? It doesn't have to be your ultimate life task, but it has to be the task that's in front of you. So what task awaits you? If you don't know, seek out new experiences, acquire new knowledge, develop a rare combination of valuable skills. Then look for opportunities to leverage your unique collection of experience, knowledge, and skill. When you feel like your life is one long apprenticeship preparing you for a task you believe you were born to do, life feels meaningful, doesn't it? Doesn't life feel meaningful? What task awaits you, or are you in the process of fulfilling? Love. To Frankl, love is the act of seeing potential in others and helping them actualize that potential. Love is number 2. Do you feel love? Are you giving love? Because more powerful than feeling love is making certain that you're giving love. Yes, we all want to receive it. We all need it. But be certain that you're giving love. Love is creating opportunities for your child. Love is mentoring a junior member of your team. Love is introducing your friend to someone who can get them a more rewarding job. Love is comforting a sick parent so they can find the strength to live another day. When you lack meaning, find someone you can elevate. Aim to make someone else's life a little bit better. Get so busy helping others, you forget yourself in the process. And I know some of you have done that. I know some of you do that regularly. And I know that we all love to be loved as well. The more one forgets himself by giving himself to another person to love, the more human he is, and the more he actualizes himself. Isn't that powerful? Oops. So I believe, if I had to guess, I either muted Tijuana or Gisela on their cell phone. So if you need to unmute yourself, I believe it's *5 or *6, I believe, if you need to speak. Welcome to the call, by the way. Number three, if you've ever suffered, are you suffering bravely? This can be really tough unless you've experienced it. I know I've spoken to some of you in this call right now, and I know you've experienced suffering, either because someone was passing away or someone was coming into this life and didn't come out as you expected, just like me. It happens. Are you suffering? At the beginning, I wasn't, because I didn't know what to do. But after a few days, maybe a week or so, I decided to take a different meaning. I decided not to accept the suffering for what it was, but more of what it could be. So Viktor Frankl, endured unimaginable amounts of suffering inside Nazi concentration camps, but he found a way to transcend his suffering by imagining himself standing in front of a group of students in a well-lit, warm lecture room. This is his quote. I imagine myself giving a lecture on the psychology of the concentration camp. All that oppressed me at the moment became objective, seen and described from the remote viewpoint of science. By this method, I succeeded somehow in rising above the situation, above the sufferings of the moment, and I observed them as if they were already of the past. Wow, that is powerful. Now, I know that when I had my suffering moment, I didn't review it as, or look at it as a suffering from the past, but I looked at it as being able to heal my daughter in the process in the near future. Whenever an unexpected, uncontrollable setback happens in your life, find a use for it. Look at the suffering objectively and ask yourself, how might this be of value? What else could this mean? Two simple questions. How might this be of value? What else could this mean? What's the one thing that I can benefit from this suffering so that everything else is easier or unnecessary? Hey, I had to say that since we heard the book, The One Thing by Gary Keller, that one question that if you ask right and if you ask persistently enough, you'll get an answer. So these are the three simple questions that I want to go over today on my end. The three basic survival skills that are necessary to define, to have meaning to whatever situation we're in. Number one is, are you pursuing a life task, whatever it may be? It could be assisting your kids, your husband, looking for your wife, trying to find a job, whatever it is, as long as you're pursuing something, you're on the right track. You're trying to get out of debt. I mean, that's a life task. It might be temporary, we hope, but it's a life task. You know, are you giving love? Give love, because if you want love, you have to give it. We might have to give it more in order to receive it more reciprocally. It tends to not work out that way in the beginning. In the beginning, it's like you're giving love, and where's your love? Keep giving. It's easy to complain that you're not receiving it. I mean, I've been there. I know that. So concentrate on giving it, because the more you give, the more you're going to receive whenever it happens. And then suffering bravely. If you've suffered, you know what I'm talking about. Suffering is not easy. What are you going to focus on? Because where focus goes, energy flows. Isn't that right? For all of you Tony Robbins fans, I'm a Tony Robbins fan. Often the primary value of suffering is a chance to strengthen your beliefs and values. Think of your favorite movie character. At some point, that character suffered, and while watching him or her suffer, you discovered who they were and what they stood for. Now imagine you're a character in a movie. When you encounter suffering, use it as an opportunity to display and strengthen your beliefs, values, and ideals, and inspire others in the process. By accepting the challenge to suffer bravely, life has a meaning up to the last moment, and it retains this meaning literally to the end. The meaning of life in three ways: creating a work or doing a deed, experiencing something or encountering something. Your attitude. We take to unavoidable suffering. What is your attitude? As it is explained in The One Thing, you're either searching to be an entrepreneur or you're searching with purpose. Most entrepreneurs are not searching with the right purpose. Most entrepreneurs just want to become an entrepreneur for the sake of being an entrepreneur because they want to make more money. Yes, that could be a pretty simple purpose, but it's not a purpose that will fulfill your life in the end. So be certain that whatever attitude you have will avoid suffering and put you in that cloud that you'd like to be someday, helping others, building something better. All right? Anyone get anything else out of man's search for meaning? Because I got a lot, but I want to give you guys an opportunity to speak. I'd love to hear for your feedback as well. Anyone? Let me see. I may unmute some of these lines, especially.
So can you hear me, David?
Yeah, loud and clear, Dennis, my man.
So going over this book, I've gone over it 2.5 times already, and I've read it before. And every time I read it, I always get that major impact. And the one thing that I get mostly is the wire that he's looking for just to hold his shoes together. And that thing
right.
hits me the most. It's
That's
always
right.
that one little thing that doesn't seem significant that can be the most significant thing for you. Because when he's in a concentration camp, people are dying around him. He could die at any moment. He's being beaten at every moment, and he's only thinking about where he can get the next wire to tie his shoes together so they don't fall off. And it's always that one seemingly insignificant thing that can mean the most to you, whether it's the vision, the purpose, the reason to go from day to day, the reason that people around you aren't stepping up, but you are. You're giving, you're doing, you're acting. It always comes down to that one wire that you're hunting for every day just to tie your shoelaces together. And he's got an amazing story, but it comes back to, again, the concept of being able to visualize that he's going to have a better next moment and not necessarily a better next day. He may not even know why, but his passion feeds the people around him. He had people looking to him for support, for inspiration, while he was at his worst moment of suffering. So your suffering is somebody else's inspiration. Go through it with intent and not think that your suffering is not either going to benefit your better version of you, whether you see that or not is irrelevant. Your suffering, but you're pushing through, is an inspiration to others around you.
That's correct. Thank you, Dennis. Wow. That is a very, very important, and it might seem like unnecessary, but it is so powerful, what Dennis just said. The wire to tighten your shoe. That is so important. And I mean, Dennis just summarized it. I'm not going to add to it. Thank you, Dennis, for sharing. Thank you. Anyone else want to share? Let me see if I need to unmute any lines here. Let's see, unmute. There we go. Whoever's calling in, if you'd like to talk, we're here. I unmuted you. All right, so let me just get back here again. So, a few other things I got out of this book. Now, Dennis
David,
summarized one very, yes, go ahead. Yep.
this is Charles.
Oh, yes.
I was really impressed about his focus, how he kept focus on that one thing to get him through. How his focus even took him out of himself. I thought that was very, very unique, that you can get to that point of total focus where, you know, like you were talking about the shoe, but he was also focused on just surviving, and that he kind of like knew he would survive no matter, even if he died. So the focus part was really intriguing to me.
It is the truth that he found a way to find meaning to every part of his life. Why? Because he was a professional. And there's one important, I mean, there are a lot of important key information in here. Does anyone know how many books he wrote in his life? I don't know. But we want to take a guess?
3 at least, I know.
So at the beginning, I think it's at the 12th minute of this audiobook, he said that he never expected to be as popular as it has been. That he never thought that this book would make it. Why? Because it was part of his worst moment in life. He even thought of posting it anonymously because he was embarrassed, I'm guessing, right? But it was his 12th.
Not embarrassed. Not embarrassed. He thought that it would be better as anonymous because it would have more impact, but he realized that his impact would be made because they knew who he was and that his story gave his book validation. And that's a message also, because his story, his history, his concepts, his vision was significantly more impact because of who he was by penning it, by writing it down. and making it available to others, they could see that there's hope through suffering. And the validation came from him writing his name on the book.
It's like he
Correct.
didn't want credit for it.
Go ahead. Say that again.
Sorry. No, it's like he didn't want credit for it.
He didn't want credit, and I mean, by me, it seems like he didn't think it would get the notoriety that it has gotten. But not only that, this was his number 12, his 12th book, before he even claimed any success. 12 books later. Don't expect that if you're interested in writing a book, that you're going to become an overnight sensation. It could happen. You know, if you've got the right resources and you've got the right team, it possibly could happen. But that was his number 12 book. And the book has been translated in at least into 34 languages, according to what is said at the beginning of this audiobook. So what we're trying to tell you here is he didn't aim for success. He said aiming for success means that you'll never acquire it, according to his interpretation. But instead, continuing fulfilling whatever it is you're doing and let it work its way. And that's how he found success. So he wasn't searching for it as much as concentrating on helping others. And that's, I believe, the attitude that a lot of us need. I mean, with my daughter, I mean, I've been working on her 6 years on improving her health. And every so often I measure our progress. And every 6 months we measure her progress. And she's improving. She hasn't gotten where I want her to get to, but she improved. So we've got to be able to measure ourselves and find meaning in whatever stage in life we are, whether we're confronting an issue, whether we're trying to get out of our workplace, paying debt, resolving matters at relationships, or whatever it may be, spiritual, whatever it may be. Don't just aim for success. Keep pounding away. Keep pounding at it. Yes, success will come, but you've got to keep working at it. In order to get to a black belt level, you have to repeat the same step. That's what it is. It's just a few strokes. I don't know what they are. I'm not any type of belt level. But whatever it is in your life, if you keep giving love, you eventually will receive it multiplied. I don't know how, I don't know when, but I know it's coming. For sure, it's coming. You know, some of you on this call I've spoken to, and I know that you have love within you. As much as you're going through stressful moments, those moments will define you. Maybe not in that moment that you're experiencing stress, but eventually the meaning will come about of those moments. So let's work together, build together, just like Viktor Frankl did. You know, and these are some of the other things that I learned from Viktor Frankl. I put them on a slide here. So many believe that opportunities pass, but the reality is that there will always be opportunity in the midst of grief. Oops, I spelled that wrong, but that's okay. Enough catch it either. In the midst of grief, there's always something to be grateful for. Remember that. You know, my father passed away in 2000. I'm grateful I got the last few moments of his life to be able to let him know, tell him within the last 24 hours that I love him. As much as I didn't know exactly what it meant, as much as I didn't know exactly what it meant to pass on, there's always something to be grateful for. You know, find it. Don't focus on this person is gone, or I've lost this job, or I'm in debt, or my marriage is broken. Find the goodness in all of this. Opportunity is bound to happen. Achieve through suffering. Oh my God, my spelling. Sorry. Achieve through suffering. We will suffer. Maybe we have suffered. Whatever it is, you're going to get your most amazing breakthroughs through suffering. And remember, people die because they give up hope. Just like within this book, if you got a chance to listen to that man who said that he knew when the end would come of the concentration camp. And Viktor Frankl asked him, how do you know? He said, oh, it came to me in a dream. And he told him March 30th. Well, obviously, he gave up hope and he died March 31st, I believe it's what it was, if I'm not mistaken. March 31st, he died. So he knew when the ending was coming. It was self-inflicted suicide. He gave up hope on living. Don't ever give up, even if you're ill. Because one of the biggest questions in this book is, did you know that Viktor Frankl had a major illness while he was in the concentration camps? People die because they give up hope. Human life never ceases to have meaning. He who has a why to live can bear almost anyhow. I'm certain you've heard of this saying. Where did it come from? It came from Nietzsche, a philosopher who I studied, but I didn't know he had this saying. He who has a reason to live can bear almost any means of living. That was Nietzsche's saying, and obviously it was modernized. He who has a why to live can bear almost anyhow. This means that a person with nothing to live for subconsciously prefers death. I've seen it. I saw it once in my cousin over 20 years ago. He felt nobody loved him, and he slowly died over drinking. And we had calls, and I tried to invite him to socials because I used to be a youth group leader back then. He wouldn't budge. He felt that the love of his life met somebody else, and that was it. Crazy, right? People exist like that. But someone who has something to live for, the reason why he continues to live, can endure almost anything. How to survive almost anything. This book is amazing. I can't.
David,
Yes.
got a quick thing about that. Many times we will go through and push through where other people have not been able to, and we don't understand the why. So
That's right.
I'm going through a lot of stuff. This whole last year has been going through. And Les Brown puts it this way: are you going through it or are you growing through it? Whether you believe the intent that you have is just you going through it, you're growing through it because subconsciously you know that somebody, including yourself, is going to benefit from the story that you're going to make out of going through it. And it's hard. It's not easy because you don't understand why. You don't get that concept of your major why, but you just know that you must, because your mess is going to be your message, or your story is going to be the greatest chapter once you've gone through it. And that is not necessarily knowing your why. It's just knowing that your message has to be thorough. You have to get through it to get your message and your story to other people. So Viktor Frankl, even though he lost his, got feedback. Even though he lost his original book, knew that his message needed to be out there. So he may have just wanted to go from day to day on breadcrumbs, or soup from the bottom of the pot, or go one more day longer than the guys who were giving up beside of him. But ultimately, he knew that his story was going to help other people, and he kept pushing forward to create a better version of his story every day.
Yes, correct. Thank you, Dennis. Thank you, Dennis. Dennis's contribution to this group is immensely appreciated. Anyone else want to share anything that they learned in this book? Any part of it. You don't have to listen to the whole book to get something out of it. I mean, I got something out of it within the first 12 minutes. Something very powerful. So anyone, I believe it's Gisela is on the call as well.
Yep, I'm here.
Anything you want to share? Did you get a chance to listen to any part of this audiobook?
I listened to the very beginning. I like just started like last night, to be honest, and then this
That's
morning.
fine. That's fine.
But I'm just like listening in like to you guys, and just I'm getting like
Okay.
just like a really good feeling on as I want to like continue this, you know. But
Fabulous.
hopefully I'll
Fabulous.
have more, you know, more to say in our next meeting.
Of course, you will. You definitely will. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Let me
Hang
just
on,
get
David. Well,
this.
Giselle, what did you get from the first part that you read? What insight opened you to wanting to read the rest of the book?
Well, I thought it was just really interesting on first how he had like no idea how it would like impact people, and how what I felt was that he didn't really want any credit for any of it, and it just really got to everyone, so it got me into just wanting to just hear more.
So how do you connect to that? And what made that, well, what makes you feel from listening to that side that you have a greater impact while trying to be anonymous?
I don't really understand what you're asking.
Something connected you to hit that first part of his story that you mentioned it. So if he did not want to be recognized for his contribution, where are you contributing in your personal life that made this book intriguing to you to want to listen to more about how you can impact and be recognized for it?
I'm not sure yet.
Okay.
Yeah, hopefully I'll have, like I said, more
Yeah.
to share. This is actually like my very first like any type of like this like book club.
Yeah, that's why we I wanted to, I didn't want to put you on the spot, but I mean Dennis has a very good question, but eventually you'll be able to answer that easily. And because Gisela is new to the whole Zoom, she's new to the book club, Mastermind book club. She's, you know, she's meeting all of us for the first time. She didn't even know that these type of meetings probably existed. So
I had no idea.
I'm glad that you're here because it's about growing. It's about communicating, connecting. And Dennis is, you know, he's great at connecting as well. So I appreciate that from Dennis. His feedback is greatly appreciated. But I'll tell you this, is that there's so much to learn from this book. All I can tell you is this book is very powerful. Every time I've heard it, I learned something new. There are many things to be learned from this book, because if our biggest public speaker, Tony Robbins, recommends this book, it's because he got a lot out of it. And I heard a few things that he mentions in his program that come out of this book. And one of those things is logotherapy, all right? And logotherapy is basically what we're talking about, the meaning of life, the meaning of your life, whatever it may be. If you don't know what it is, you've got to keep doing something to figure out what it is. It might be helping out somebody else. It might be helping out yourself. It might be working at a different job, or it might be asking for a raise. You don't know or how it's going to happen. But make sure that whatever it is, the reason you're doing it, your why, is bigger than anything else that you're doing it for.
I know that Reggie and Charles, Reggie definitely has the mindset
Yeah.
to push a lot of things forward.
Yeah.
Charles has an in-depth mind for paying attention to a lot of different details. You have an amazing perception for digging into a lot of different things. So as I look at the group as a whole, and not just in its parts, there's a great power in the momentum, but I also recognize individuals. So if the individuals are the breadcrumb that I'm looking for from one day to the next, if the insight, the offerings, the insight, the details that you guys are seeing that I don't see, the main concept for us being here in this group and the books that are being recommended, and David, you're awesome with that, but the individual perceptions from different values of life that we look at, this mastermind group has more impact on me than anything else I've been in the last year. That has definitely brought a lot of clarity, perception, direction, basics, foundation, observations, intelligence, different mindset, having an alternate perception of reality that makes better sense than what I think I'm suffering through, because my suffering is actually my deliverance. And I really want to thank you for that.
Thank you, Dennis. Wow. I'm not paying you for this, right? I have to pay you for this? Thank
From
you,
the
Dennis.
heart.
Wow, that is powerful what you just said there. Thank you, Dennis. I appreciate that. And this is about growing. No matter what level you're at, let's connect. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Get on my calendar. Dennis and I speak every once in a while. Elmer, Reggie, Charles, we've spoken once in a while. Gisela and I have just started to communicate, so I want to give her time to get used to this program. But just wanted to briefly, I know we're over time, but I wanted to briefly tell you what's going to happen in the next few weeks, so that way you have an idea of what is going to be going on. If you give me a moment here to bring it up, and I promise this won't take more than 3 minutes. I know some of you have got to go for whatever personal reason it is, but I just wanted to let you know what it is. So our next book, as promised in December, is going to be the audiobook of Think and Grow Rich. However, if this last book had meaning, this next book has just as much meaning, if not more meaning, and it's going to take
Nuggets.
more than 1 week to go over it. Hello? Yes? Somebody was trying to say something?
So that book has nuggets of gold.
Yes. And I've listened to it many times, and I still believe I have not listened to it enough. So, I challenge you. You're going to have at least 3 weeks of going through this next book, Think and Grow Rich.
Well, Bob Proctor has gone over it for 30 years, 50 years, sorry.
Right? And so these two books, or the last actually 4 books, are worthwhile listening to over and over again. From Darren Hardy, the Compound Effect, to Gary Keller, The One Thing, the Mindset, as well as the Man's Search for Meaning, and this one that we're going to cover now, Think and Grow Rich, are very powerful. So for the next 3 weeks, we're going to go over this. So if you'd like to listen to, I think it's 11 hours long. I think if you listen to 3.5 hours per week, you can cover it. And if you go past it, you can just start all over. It's up to you, or you can go through it as much as you want. But we're going to have 3 weeks of listening to it because it's very, very powerful. And all I ask you is have questions. Think of what you're learning and just find a way to ask a question. Is that a deal? Dennis, Reggie?
Yeah, I'm on it. I got my little mobile university every night when I work.
Audio here. Give me 1 second. Somebody just called me, so now. Go ahead now. Hello?
Yeah, every night I have my little mobile university going, so I have got definitely progress happening. Finding the time is not necessarily finding time. Like he said,
Yes.
when you're looking for that breadcrumb in your pocket that's going to make the difference in the moment, this is the difference in a lifetime in a moment. So knowing your why definitely makes the commitment finding the time.
And believe it or not, you don't have to know your ultimate reason for living, but know your why for the moment. You know, why is this argument happening right now? What good can we get out of this? There's growth, there's opportunity. You know, Dennis and I challenge each other, and sometimes I might have an answer for him. Sometimes I don't. But, you know, I love you, Dennis. And, you know, it's part of the growth. It's part of the growth. What else do you expect? All right, so 2 more minutes here before I start crying. Get all, you know, wishy-washy on you here. So what's next? Let's see here. So again, Think and Grow Rich. I'm going to put it in the group. And what else here? So these will be the last 2 books in the success mindset for several weeks. Why? Because we're going to go into the books concerning high performance habits. Is that okay with everyone if we move into the high performance habits? Or would you like to keep going in the success mindset?
Let's take a look at how we all progress and the better questions we're asking, because I would believe that a review first before moving forward would be more beneficial.
We have 3 weeks to cover the Think and Grow Rich, and then we can review the books if you'd like. Is that?
Yes,
Well,
I would like that.
So what I plan to do is we have 3 more Tuesdays, and then we're going to take the last 2 Tuesdays of the month and beginning of the year off because they fall on the magical days, the 25th and the 1st. So just be aware that we'll have 2 weekends off, or we can meet on another day for that week if you'd like, and we can continue to grow because our brain is constantly looking to keep busy, and sometimes we forget to keep it busy.
The 25th and the 1st are Wednesdays.
Wednesday, Tuesday, yeah, but Tuesday is the is family night as well.
On the eve.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I know I'm going to be out. I'm not going to be home. I'm going to be traveling. But
So put me on.
Put you on for a different day?
No, put me on for those Tuesdays. And the metrics that I'm using right now are definitely, if everybody believes, I don't know. I have metrics and insight that helps ask better questions. So if everybody's willing and acceptable to the opportunity, I'd be more than willing to look over asking different questions about what each of us have gotten from these books in those review sessions, because the metrics that we're using to evaluate who we are, and they're metrics, they're not judgments. We judge ourselves a lot. So why not use them as metrics for how we're moving forward instead of judgments for how we're not doing better? Evaluating our gaps that we've survived from instead of measuring the gaps that we need to fill. If everybody is okay with that, I'm willing to step in for those 2 Tuesdays that you're not available.
Well, let's see who's available to be on those Tuesdays, the 24th and the 31st at 8 p.m.
But if not, listen, I'm always available. Anybody has questions, they want to ask questions, they want to get better metrics, I'm always asking questions of myself. I am the worst judge of my current position because I'm constantly looking at those things. Well, no, I say it that way for a reason.
You're the best judge.
No, because I'm always judging my gaps forward, not judging my successes past.
We'll get over that hurdle eventually.
Yes.
It's coming.
When it comes to the questions, everybody has questions. So let's answer those questions. The books that we've read have put us into better insight for better questions. So let's get it out there. Let's look at how we can connect personally so that we can get those questions answered to have that better version of us for 2020.
Got it.
So, Reggie, Charles, Elmer, Giselle, anybody who's out there, listen, it's really all about how we are asking our questions and whether it's judging ourselves from our past or judging ourselves from the potential gaps we have to fill. These books are immense with intelligence for the gaps. So,
And that's why I ask people, try and learn at least one thing. Because if you learn one thing, then you're learning something new. And Dennis is right. There's a lot of nuggets in here. Who said that? Was it Elmer? Who said a lot of
Charles,
nuggets? Charles.
yep.
So there are a lot of nuggets in these books. And Think and Grow Rich is, it surpasses a lot of people's expectations on the book to listen to. So thank you, Dennis, for sharing this. We're way past time, and eventually, yeah, we might continue these classes and extend them. But I don't want to keep people on here too long, and then they'll complain that why we're making it so long. So I know that there might be more to be said about these books, and that's why Dennis is saying we should have a review. And you're right. That's what we're gonna do at the end of the month after we go Think and Grow Rich. Then we'll take 2 weeks to review books, and then what we'll do is we come back onto the new year. We'll review the books before we go into the high performance habits. Is that a deal?
Deal.
Taking it that as a yes,
Sounds good.
because a lot of people are muted, and I appreciate you, everyone on this call. Gisela, Charles, Dennis, Elmer, Reggie, and everyone else on this call. I appreciate you all. I look forward to listening to your comments in the group as you have. And if you want to connect, I'm willing to connect with you once a week. I'm going to put my calendar again, either tonight or tomorrow. Let's connect. All right. God bless you more. Take care. And I'm sorry if you don't like religion, but once in a while it's going to come out. God bless you more and more. And that's one of the books that I have, one of the audio books in Success Mindset. But I kept it off because it's a little complicated. It's not available in the format I would love to have it. So everyone, have a great evening. And until next week, this is your host signing off, David Diaz from New York City. Take care. God bless you more. Have a great evening, everyone.
God bless you, David. Good night.
Good
Good
night,
night.
Charles.
Thank you.
Good night. Good night. Good night. Let's see, just unmuted here. Yep, there we go. Good night, Gisela.